Welcome to the Every Brain is Different podcast. It is Samantha and Lauren here with you. And today we are talking about vacations. And we talked about what to do when you're on your way to the vacation, specifically if you're going on a road trip. And today we're going to talk about how to make the actual vacation go a little bit more smoothly. So I don't know about you, but I plan a vacation and I think it's gonna be awesome. And then I don't prepare my kids well and everything goes awry.
Yeah.
And what I thought was gonna be so fun and chill and whatever, it is not. So I have learned and I
Less of those.
my ways. But the more we prepare in advance, the better the trip will go. And so today we're going to be talking about some of those things that you can do in advance, what you can do while you're there, whether you're going to like a theme park or you're just going to visit family. Yeah, we're just going to talk about all of that. So just remember, this is the main message, that a vacation is still a huge disruption to your child's routine, sensory environment, and sense of predictability. And so when you're on vacation, the goal isn't to create fun and memories every single second. The goal is to create enough safety and flexibility that your child can participate in ways that work for them. And it might not look like other kids participate, and that's okay. So vacations can be hard for neurodivergent kids because research consistently shows that autistic and ADHD kids often rely on predictability, routine, and familiar environments to support regulation. This is nothing new. No, like we know this. If you're a parent of a kid with ADHD or autism, you know this. But when you go on vacation, almost every single thing changes. So you're staying in a different place. You're not staying at your house. It might have new smells. It obviously looks different. You're going to sleep in a different bed. You might be trying new foods. Like if you don't go out to eat a lot when you're at home and then all of a sudden you're going out to eat, like every meal, if you stay in a hotel or if you go somewhere like that, then that's going to be a huge disruption for your kid. You're going to be on a different schedule. You're going to have different expectations. You're going to meet different people.
All different.
Yeah, even if you just go visit family, that's someone that your kid is not used to being around. Like they might know them and be like, oh yeah, that's my Aunt Sally, but they're not used to being around them. And
Still
so,
out of the norm.
yeah. And so it can be very overwhelming. And in addition to all the new things, you have the added sensory input that's put in to your child's nervous system. So if you go to an airport, airports are busy, there's people, they might run into somebody, you're hurrying, you have to go through security, like all that different kind of stuff. It might be cold, it might be hot, whatever, I don't know. And then when you get on the plane, it's super loud on planes. And yeah,
And
it's just
claustrophobic.
claustrophobic. So if you're claustrophobic,
Nowhere to go.
yeah. And then also if you like have to use the bathroom on a plane, that is a new experience. Like the toilets on an airplane freak me out because they are so loud when they flush. Okay, I know that I have sensory sensitivities, but I know what's going to happen and I still get overwhelmed. So if you're a kid, just imagine you don't like you've never been on a plane and you do that, you might freak out. And that is warranted because holy smokes. Anyway,
I've
that
been
was a
afraid of the
tangent.
bathroom forever.
Yeah. And then if you go to theme parks, there's a lot of people. You can go to restaurants, there's a lot of people. Basically, there's just people and new smells. And I don't know why I keep talking about smell when I can't even smell. But I just have
Part of
to
the
remember
sensory.
that. Yeah. And then if you go to beaches, like there's just the sun and the sand.
Sand everywhere.
And then if you go in the water, prepare your child that it is super salty. So I was reading these things of entitled people, and this person was like, the water in the ocean was too salty. Why didn't you filter it before it came to the shore? And I was like, are you serious?
I hope not.
That's ridiculous. And so, but a kid might not understand, like, they could, like, cognitively understand that the ocean is salty, but not understand that when they get in the water, it's going to be salty.
Yeah.
So just, prepare your kid. Just prepare your kid for what you can.
Everything.
Yeah. So even like fun, chill, as they say, experiences can overwhelm a nervous system just because it's so new and there's so many things coming into the nervous system at one time. So I always prepared my kids for bigger trips we went on and then wondered why they had some of their biggest meltdowns and I'm not expecting it when we were on a chill trip just to see family. Like we always go to my cousin's house in the summer and there's not really a whole lot going on. There's just like her family and our family there, and we sit by the pool. And my son would always get so angry like the second day we were there. And I realized it's because he never got alone time. And so just because it seems chill and it doesn't seem like you're doing a lot, just being around people and being like
Is enough.
on, as they say, that can completely overwhelm the nervous system. And so now we give him plenty of breaks. Like he can go inside whenever he wants to. We have our own room in their house. And if you don't have your own room, just have a designated room. And he can go in there whenever he wants. We let him have as much screen time as he wants because he does come out and socialize, but he needs that alone time to recharge and regulate his nervous system. Even though it doesn't seem like there's a lot going on because it's not super loud. We're not really doing anything. We're just sitting around in the pool, but it's just him being around people that gets his nervous system a lot of whack. So just think about that. And then, like I said before, one of the easiest ways to reduce anxiety in your kids when you go on vacation is increasing predictability. So before you leave for the trip, show pictures of where you're going. Look at maps of where you're going. So, if we go down to Utah, for example, I'll point at the map in Idaho and be like, this is where we live in Idaho. This is where we're going in Utah. We have to travel along this road. This is how long it's going to take. So you could watch videos of your destination. You can talk through what to expect. Like, okay, we're going on a road trip. And then you can listen to the previous podcast about what to do on a road trip and how to prepare them. But you can go through all those things. Or we're going on a plane. So we're going to go to the airport and then we're going to go through security. And then we're probably going to sit for a while because we got there early for security because we were going through with family. And then we're going to get on the plane and then we're going to do this and then we're going to do this and just show them pictures or talk through it. Or the airport actually has a program, it's like the sunflower program, that you can wear lanyards around your neck that are sunflower lanyards, and people know that you have like an invisible disability. And so they know to kind of help you more. And you can also call the airport, and sometimes they'll give you a tour before so your kid knows what to expect.
A practice round.
Yeah, yeah. And then they'll let you board early or like the first ones to board. You just have to communicate with the airline and they can help you. But yeah, go over all of that. Be like, we're going to fly up in the air and we're going to do this and we're going to do this, and just show them pictures, show them like videos of an airplane or whatever. And then, like when we get to the destination, this is what it looks like. This is what we're going to do there, and go through your itinerary as much as you can and just tell them what's going to happen. And then share daily plans. So instead of we'll figure it out when we get there, you can say, tomorrow we're going to eat breakfast. We're going to have this for breakfast. If you don't know what you're going to have for breakfast, just say, I don't know what we're going to have for breakfast, but that's something that's unknown. But here's everything else that I do know about the day. So you can say, like, tomorrow we're going to have breakfast, then we're going to go to the aquarium, then we're going to come back to the hotel for quiet time, and then we're going to go out to dinner. Just give them a rundown of your day, put it in a visual schedule if they need it, and then, like rip it off if you have the Velcro ones, or if you just write it down, you can just cross it out every time something happens. and then go over the plan the night before, because I don't know about you, but if I don't go over the schedule the night before with one of my kids and I tell him the day of that something is going to happen, he loses it. But if I tell him the night before, he's totally fine and all is well. And be honest about uncertainty. Like I said, we went to Universal Studios in January and my kids wanted to know how long they were going to have to stand in line. And I said, I don't know. I know we have like whatever Universal Studios equivalent is of fast passes. I can't remember what they're called. We have those, but I have no idea how long we're going to have to stand in line. But this is what we can do while we stand in line. So I gave them the plan of what we were going to do, but I couldn't tell them how long it was going to take. And then once you lay out the plan, you can say, this is the plan, but things may change. And if they do, I'll let you know. So you can promise them, like you'll tell them as soon as you know that something's changing, that they know that you will tell them as soon as you can. And it's not going to be like you're not hiding stuff from them.
Just really want to over communicate.
Yeah, you really do.
It's vibes I'm getting.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, if your kid says, like, yes, I know you told me, you can talk about that. Like, if you're communicating too much, your kid's going to let you know. If you're not communicating enough, your kid's going to let you know. Probably in a meltdown.
Yeah.
But
I'd rather be exasperated, I know,
yeah,
than a meltdown, I know.
Usually, if I over communicate, like today, I over communicated with my son, and he was like, oh, yes, I know. And I was like, well, that was rude. Why'd you have to talk like that? And he was like, because you told me 1,000 times. And I'm like, oh. So then I knew that I over communicated. I need to take a step back and maybe just tell him a couple times instead of like the 5 that I told him. So, yeah. And then the next thing we're going to talk about is build recovery time into the vacation. We actually planned on this when we went to Universal Studios. I planned to go back to the hotel every afternoon and just chill. And we didn't end up doing that because my kids asked to keep going. But I always told them that that was an option. I'm like, and I watched for signs of overwhelm. So if they looked like they started to get overwhelmed, I could say, hey, we're going to go back to the hotel for a little bit. We're just going to chill. You can be alone. And then we're going to come back. But we actually ended up being at the park all day. And that was fine. That's what my kids wanted to do. But I gave them the option to go back to the hotel. And I planned that into our plans so that we could still do everything we wanted to do with that time built in to take that break.
If you needed it.
Yeah, yeah. And then you can build in hotel breaks, quiet afternoons, free mornings, rest days. I know when my in-laws go on vacation, they plan like whole days where they just chill and they don't do anything. And I think that's genius because if you like go somewhere for 2 weeks and you just go, you're going to get burned out and then your vacation isn't even going to be fun anymore. And so even like I said, if you're just visiting family and you're staying at a family member's house, you can give your kid a place to go where they can just chill by themselves. And I think that's super important. Since we started doing that, my son does not have meltdowns anymore when we go to families' houses. So that's a win. You can think of regulation like a battery, and every activity uses energy, and kids need opportunities to recharge. So just remember that the most successful vacations don't have to be packed with activities. They're balanced with recovery. So I've always had this thing where we have to be go, go, go the whole vacation because I don't go on a lot of vacations. And so when I go somewhere, I'm like, this might be the only time in my life I ever come to this place.
Just trying to do as much as you can and see and experience it all.
Yeah, but I know when we went to New York City, I didn't have my kids with me, but I was so burned out by the end of that vacation. We actually went to visit my sister-in-law and brother-in-law where they live after we went to New York City. And I was so tired when we got to their house. I couldn't even do anything. And my brother-in-law was like, let's go to this museum. Let's go to this museum. And I was like, I just want to sit here because we walked like 15 miles a day in New York. And so if I would have built in like a recovery day while we were in New York, I probably wouldn't have been so burned out. But, you do you. You know your family, you know yourself. If your family doesn't need those recovery days, then don't do them. But I would plan on them just so you can make sure you do all the things you want to do while also having the recovery period in case you need them.
I think it's really about like the quality of the time that you guys do get with the peace and the calm and everything going right versus trying to cram it all in and then or not being able to do anything because of meltdowns.
Yeah.
I think it is definitely a balance
Yeah.
of
So
that.
it's like, how much time are you going to save if you're worried about like, oh, we don't have enough time to do everything? How much time will you save by building in a 30-minute rest break? That's a very arbitrary number, but a 30-minute rest break when you see your kid getting unregulated versus having a meltdown where they have the meltdown and then they're in a bad mood and then you have to recover from the meltdown and then nobody's happy because there was
Yeah.
a meltdown, where if you just would have built in that 30-minute rest, you would have avoided it all.
Mhm.
And then the next thing is to create an escape plan before you need one. So when we're at my cousin's house, my son knew he'd go inside whenever he needed a break, and nobody questioned it. Nobody made him stay and socialize. He had a safe place to go and regroup. So talk to your kids about the plan. If you need like a safe word, or if your kid doesn't want to be like, hey, I need to go take a rest because I'm sick of all these people, they can just be like, whatever, say a word and leave. And that's fine. You don't have to worry about it. And if your family like gives them a hard time about it, you can deal with it and your kid can just leave. Also, if your family's giving you a hard time about it, maybe don't go see them. No.
They're not understanding of the needs of your dysregulated child, then there's another conversation that needs to happen later.
Yeah, yeah. So just remember that research on co-regulation and sensory processing shows that having access to a safe retreat can reduce anxiety because the child knows that they're not trapped. So they know the whole time. Let's say we're at my cousin's house at the pool. My son knows the whole time he's in the pool, I can leave whenever I want to. If we waited to tell him that he could leave until he came to us overwhelmed, he wouldn't be as relaxed when he's with everyone because he doesn't know that he can leave whenever he wants to. He thinks it's going to be a big deal to leave. And so, yeah, just once again, communicate. Just
Be flexible.
yeah. And then if you're at a theme park and you don't have your hotel right by the theme park, like we went to Lagoon, which is just a theme park by Salt Lake City. And we didn't stay at a hotel because we drove down that morning, went to the theme park, and then continued on to my cousin's house. And if you need a break though during that time and your car is super hot, a lot of theme parks have like sensory friendly areas or quiet zones or first aid stations. I know that at Lagoon they had a first aid station where we could go. My kid started getting a migraine, and so they actually had medication that they just gave her. And I asked for it, obviously. I went and said, like, do you have ibuprofen? And they gave her some ibuprofen. But I didn't know that places like that had that. So they have like over the counter medication and they don't charge you for it. They just give it to you, which is super cool. And then they just let you sit in like an air conditioned room and just do what you need to do. And they gave us water and whatever you need. So if your kid needs a break, you can go there, or a lot, like a lot of places have different places that you can go. So just remember from this section that kids regulate better when they know they can leave before they're overwhelmed. So have that escape plan built in. And stop expecting constant socialization like we talked about. socialization is a lot of work for a lot of neurodivergent kids. And so remember that quality matters more than quantity. If they have a good hour that they are like hanging out with the cousins and just having a lot of fun and then they leave, that's
It
great.
was a good hour.
It was a good hour. It's way better than forcing them to be there for like 4 hours and then be on the verge of a meltdown for the last 3 hours. They're not going to have fun. They're not going to want to come back. And they're going to have terrible memories, which is the opposite of what you're trying to do. So, yeah, just remember to build in breaks and respect their limits. And so, if a child, like, you're at a family party or whatever, or you're on vacation, you're at a theme park, or you're at a museum, or wherever you are, if they need headphones, if they need screen time, whatever they need, just pack those sensory items that they need that they can use while they're at that place. So if they want to be out and about with people, but it's too loud for them, give them headphones. If they're somewhere where there's super bright lights and they want to be there, but the light's too bright, give them sunglasses. And if someone says anything about it, I know this is hard, but just be like, this is what my kid needs. Why do you care? And it's about your kid's regulation. It's not about what other people think. Even though I know that's hard, it's easier to say than to do it in the moment. But sometimes you just have to get firm, especially if it's family. It's always harder for me if it's someone that I know that's judging me than if it's a random stranger. If it's a random stranger, I don't really have a hard time being like, forget you. I'm going to take care of my kid. But sometimes I'll be talking to my kids and someone in my family will start disciplining them too at the same time or like trying to figure out what they need. And I just turn to them and I'm like, I got this. I am talking to them right now, trying to figure it out. Because if multiple people are talking to your kid when they're overwhelmed, they're going to get
It
more overwhelmed
escalates.
and it escalates. And so, yeah, you can just calmly say, like, I never yell at them. I just say, I got this. We're good. Thank you for your concern. We're good. But yeah. And remind people that if your kid takes a break, they're not rejecting them. They just need a break. And you can explain the social battery. Like, socializing for my kid takes more energy than for other kids. And so he needs a break. And that's okay. He's not rejecting you. He's not saying he doesn't like you. This has nothing to do with you. He just needs a break. I don't know how this podcast morphed into how to talk to your family, but apparently it has. So, whatever. And then prioritize regulation over vacation expectations. So, as parents, we often carry a vision of what the vacation is going to look like, what we're going to do, how it's going to go, the great memories we're going to have. But maybe your child doesn't want to be in family photos. Maybe they don't want to swim. Maybe they don't want to stay all day at the place. Maybe they need extra downtime. That's okay. And you just need to ask yourself, am I protecting the memory I imagined, or am I supporting the child that I actually have? And this applies to your kid's whole life because I don't care who you are. When you have a kid, you have a vision for how you want that kid's life to go. And so this is just good practice for life in general, that you don't get to control what your kid does in life and you don't get to control how they experience the world. And so if they need an extra break, if they need, all these different things to stay regulated, then that's what you need to do to support them. You need to support the child you actually have rather than the vision of what you thought it was going to be. Once again, easier said than done for a lot of people, but it's good practice for life in general. And then the last thing we're going to talk about is to bring familiarity with you. So research shows that familiar items can reduce stress during transition. So they might bring a favorite blanket, favorite snacks, a stuffed animal, a favorite pillow, familiar pajamas, preferred headphones. anything that helps your child when they're in an unfamiliar environment, you can bring with them. I know last time we went to Utah, I usually pack the car, but my husband packed the car this time, and my daughter brought so many stuffed animals and pillows that he just let her bring. And I was like, what is going on? But you know what? That was the most regulated she's ever been on a trip, and it was awesome.
There you go.
So I guess I'm not the one that's sitting in the back seat with all the pillows and stuffed animals, so I don't know why I care. But it just looks uncomfortable. And so I'm like, no, you need to leave those home because I always thought that she would get sick of them and then get mad that they were on her. But no, it was the most regulated she's ever been. So I guess we're just gonna be, you know, we're gonna bring all the stuff. So yes. And then I lied. We have one more. So we already talked about this a little bit, but just watch for signs of overload. And the signs can include like increased irritability, repetitive questions like, when are we going to do this? How long is this going to take? How long is this going to take? How long is this going to take? Like, if they start asking the same question over and over, their anxiety is building. And then withdrawal, arguing, refusing to do things, if they increase in stimming. So that is a good indicator that I've seen. If they increase their stimming, oh, they're really trying not to have a meltdown.
Yeah.
So
Probably time to take a break.
yeah. And these behaviors often communicate that their nervous system needs support, not that they're trying to ruin the vacation. They're just trying to regulate themselves. And so, in summary, these are the things we talked about. There were a bunch of things, but tell your child the plan ahead of time. Build downtime into every day, even every hour if you need to. Create a safe place that they can retreat to. Don't force constant social interaction. Bring familiar items from home. Watch for early signs of overwhelm and adjust expectations instead of just pushing through. And remember that a successful vacation isn't one where everyone does everything. I think a successful vacation is where everyone ends the day regulated. And then a successful vacation is one where everyone feels safe, supported, and connected. So, in closing, when we stop measuring vacations by how many activities we completed and start measuring them by how supported our family felt, everything changes about our mindset, I think. Your child doesn't need to experience the vacation the same way as everyone else does. They just need the space and support to experience it in a way that works for their brain. And you need to experience it in a way that works for your brain. Like, don't forget to support yourself while this is happening. So, if you're trying to figure out how to support your neurodivergent child in real life situations like vacations, like family gatherings, school challenges, or just everyday routines, you can send us a message. You can download our guide to parenting your neurodivergent child, and that can be found at everybrainisdifferent.com. So, I hope this helps you. Let us know what vacations you're going on this summer. I've talked to some people. Yeah, I've talked to people who are going on some fun vacations. Like, someone told me they're going to Lake Powell. Lake Powell is my happy place. It's like in Arizona, southern Utah, Arizona area. I've only been there once in my life, but it was like the best vacation.
Nice.
So, if it wouldn't have been for the stupid guy I was dating at the time, it would have been the best vacation. But
that's a story for another time.
Such is life. So, yeah, let us know where you're going. Let us know what fun plans you had. And if you do go on vacation and use these ideas, how did it work for you?
Or any other hacks that you might want to share.
Yeah. If you have other things that you do when you're going on vacation, let us know so we can share it. I'd love to know. So, have a good week.